more likely for Cam Newton, 15 rushing touchdowns or 15 passing touchdowns on the season?
The way this team is designed, believe it or not, 15 passing. And I know that's going to surprise a lot of people. But again, that 2 tight end set and having that big, reliable move tight end as a threat in the red zone, something he didn't have last year. People forget how great that synergy was between Cam Newton and Greg Olsen when they played together in Carolina. He's going to love Jonnu Smith, and I think he's going to be a guy that he's going to really anticipate and really look for in the red zone. And I think that's going to help up his touchdown totals.
I agree. I do think that 15 rushing touchdowns would be the most he would have in a single season of his career. He's had 14. He had 12 with the Patriots last year. I think he could easily get 15. Obviously, these guys know how to design for him, and he has a great offensive line. So you could see that happening. But I also agree. I just think a 7 touchdown lead from last year is easy. I mean, it's just the amount of talent that they've added is just, you'd have to be sleepwalking not to add at least 5 or 6 touchdowns on that total in your sleep. So I completely agree. All right, we'll move on to the second one. Oh, you're going to love this. I hate to make you choose. More touchdowns on the season, Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry?
You're going to make me go against the grain on this. Hunter is my guy. I love Hunter Henry, but I'm going to go with Jonnu again because I think he's going to be that prototypical move tight end that's going to get open in the red zone, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of different opportunities. Hunter, I think, is going to have more catches in the open field. He's going to have more receiving yards, but in terms of finding the end zone, Jonnu's going to be a big threat, and he's going to be great at doing it.
I've said from the beginning, I do think that this is the best chance that they have of having to succeed is harkening back to the Hernandez and Gronk days, with Hernandez in the open field between the 20s, getting the majority of the catches, and Gronk being that big red zone threat. And both those guys are designed to be able to do that in terms of their skill set. So so far we mostly agree. Okay, better unit this season, offensive line or defensive line?
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. I'm going to go with the O-line simply because I love the camaraderie that these guys have. I love the fact that most of these guys have been together. Yes, Trent Brown coming back in. He's spent, a little bit of time in Las Vegas with the Raiders, but he's coming back into a system he's very familiar with. And when you get David Andrews in the center part of that offensive line, on one side, you've got Trent Brown and Shaq Mason. On the other side, you've got Isaiah Wynn, Michael Wainu. This is such a deep unit. I think that camaraderie, that ability to come together, and the familiarity those guys have makes them the superior unit. But I love the D-line too. I mean, I love the additions that they made. A lot of new pieces though, so I think there might be a few growing pains at the beginning, whereas I think the offensive line is ready. I think they're ready to go probably right out of the gate.
I agree. Yeah, there's probably going to be, the idea is that you want to see the defensive line maybe be the most improved unit from 2020 to 2021. That's like the goal at the end of the season, most improved, because we've talked on the show a lot. The other units we know where their weaknesses are on offense, but defensive line has been a bit of a struggle. So you can't really go against the Patriots offensive line. If anybody has been paying attention, regardless, that's been one of their most consistent units over the last 20 years. So you got to always give it to the boys, to David Andrews and the crew. Okay, more game-changing plays this season. And by that, I mean, they make the play that kind of seals the deal for the Patriots. We're gonna define it that way. Nick Folk or J.C. Jackson?
Ooh, good point.
We're kind of going field goals versus interceptions here.
Yeah, the Patriots have been predicated on, interceptions are such a big part of what this team does, but because of the improvement that you see in the defensive line, the linebacking crew, I think they're going to have to the quarterback a little bit more. I think they're going to be able to stuff the run and do a little bit of a better job. So I'm going to go with Nick on this one. I think he came up with some big kicks last year. I look for him to continue to do it again. I was very impressed with how he kicked last year. So yeah, I'm going to go with Folk. I'm going to give him a little love today.
Big Kick Nick. We loved Big Kick Nick last year. He was one of the highlights, the big surprises of the season. It was a joy to watch. It was really nice. It was very depressing to lose Stephen Gostkowski, and those are big shoes to fill. And having a veteran kicker come in and kind of step up was really cool. JC Jackson is, obviously going to be a linchpin of the defense. But you're a good point. hopefully they are actually a little less reliant on interceptions, right? Like that's best case scenario is that he's able to do more coverage stuff, regardless of whether he's intercepting the ball. We want to see that, but we also want to see more pressure up front. We want to see those sacks. We want to see the loss of yards early on in the play. So, okay, I like where you're going with this. I'm going to give you the final one, and you're going to hate me for it, but you have to. Listen. I'm looking to make your life hell on Twitter. That's my. I'm just kidding. Everybody loves you. You're the golden boy, so you can't go wrong here. But you have to take one on your team this season. You have to choose one. Do you take Bill Belichick or Tom Brady?
Ooh, okay.
In 2021.
In 2021, yeah, it's tough. I'm by a slight margin. I'm a Bill guy. I'm going to go with Bill. And I'm going to go with Bill because I always look for what's coming down with the future. And even though you said for 2021 for one season, and I say this with every bit of respect for Tom Brady that I've had for so long and so many years. And to me, he's still the quarterback I want with the ball in his hands with the game on the line every single time. And I don't even hesitate to say there's a close second. There isn't. But in terms of the guy that I want in charge of my franchise, I've kind of been an in Bill we trust guy. So yeah, I might upset some people there. It might ignite my my Twitter. Maybe I've lost my golden boy status on that one, but I'm going with Bill by the slightest of margins here.
Yeah, and to make it a little easier for you, I will say, let's just do the math on this. How many people win 2 back-to-back Super Bowls? It's very, very difficult. It's highly unlikely that they run it back. And I know it was highly unlikely that they did it in the first place, but COVID seasons were interesting. If you look at who won championships in COVID seasons, it was veterans. It was the steady hand. It was leadership. LeBron James did for the Lakers in many ways what Brady did for the Bucks last year, which was take a group of really talented guys, veteran guys who were just that one bit away. And in a vacuum of all of this difficulty and the things that were thrown at them, like you need a guy like a Tom Brady in a position that he was with a team that was ready for it to guide you there. And he statistically, he had a bounce back season, but he wasn't crazy all regular season. He was good. He was a good steady hand. So to just defend your pick, I do think that the likelihood that the Bucks regress a little bit in terms of end of season goal and the Patriots improve a little bit is high, right? So, you can't really go wrong with voting for Bill. And plus, as I've said on your podcast, as I've said on Twitter, as I've said many times, Bill's the one who stayed. Bill's the one who stayed, so we got to give him our trust, right? So in Bill we trust. That's how it's going to be until otherwise proven.
Yeah, I also have to sit in Bill's press conferences every Wednesday morning, so I think that's something where that does count for us. Does count for a little bit.
Yeah, you're like, I'd rather have Tom Brady.
No, all kidding aside. Yeah. No, all kidding aside. I mean, you're right about the steady hand. You're right about essentially knowing what you're going to get in Bill. And I fully expect Tom to have a very similar season to what he had in 2020. I don't see him regressing at all, but you have to always take under account the age and the factor, and you never ever know when that could rear its ugly head. And there's always that measure. So yeah, again, Bill by the slightest margin, folks. That's not a knock to Tom Brady.
Hey, listen, even if Brady doesn't regress, the weight of winning a championship and doing it again and running it back is very, very big. And the team itself has to be able to get back up and come back from a season the way they did. And it's really, really hard to do. I mean,
it is.
Even the Patriots being in the Super Bowl every year, it was hard for them to win back to back for the last 5 years. They didn't do it, so it is really difficult. And that's, so just take that as you will, people. Sorry if I don't immediately think the Bucks are going to go back to I'm just not one of those people who in the off season is like picks the Super Bowl champion and it's just like, oh, well, it's going to be Bucks Chiefs again. Like every year people predict the same people to be back there. And it's rarely that,
Absolutely.
Like maybe Tom Brady will play till he's 50. And I am not in the business of predicting his downfall. I am never going to be that guy because I watched people do it for like 12 years. So we're not going to be those people, but we are going to predict that Bill Belichick will still be the GOAT. And we can do that fairly. Okay. We can do that fairly.